working? Ah, yes, it does look like it's working. I think we are good to go. Yes. Good morning, friends. I hope you are well. I hope you have had a good day thus far. Whatever time of the day it is 8:21 in the morning for me here in the UK. Date is the 13th of September. It's a Thursday. I have a cup of chai tea with milk, FYI. And I am working on this mountain structure over here. Morning, hello, Lone Wolf. So, notably, from the last stream, or the last couple of streams, I discovered a very good technique for creating, for filling in these areas here. So, I'm using an automatic technique to fill in between the lines here, which is really speeding up the process, and I'm going to have to do a lot of work kind of on the surface after this to shape up the surface again, but I wanted to get that flat kind of basic structure down anyway. So that will be the next thing that we're going to do, is hit up this area here, I think, with some more little kind of triangle fills. So that'll be the next thing. So I'm actually going to have to swap out of our fancy graphics because can't see the boxes, unfortunately. I have a joke for the day. I have a very long joke for the day, which is too long. Maybe I can get one real quick. A real estate agent was showing a woman through a beautiful room at the top of a large hotel. Now in this wing we have the master bedroom, bath and den. The woman interrupted suspiciously. And then what? Amazing. What a fantastic joke, I must say. Cocoa and banana. That's good. Sounds like healthy. I had, what did I have? Oh, I had a packet of vegetable flavour crisps for breakfast. Not even flavour, well actually, when I say not even flavour, I mean not flavour, they were. So I'm going to swap over my selection here so that we can do a non-square selection. Convex polyhedral selector. So yes, what do I have for breakfast? Yeah, they're vegetable crisps, so it's like fried, I think they're fried vegetables, slices of vegetables. Actually quite good, but not really a good breakfast, I must admit. But I was kind of in a hurry as usual. For some reason I've been considering I quite often set my alarm real early. I get up very late, which is not good. I'm gonna get a rock brush here, stone. We do 490, and we do mask air. And what this brush will allow me to do is just to very quickly fill out underneath the. Nominally, it should be very quick. Okay. What's happened? Okay, something's happened. Alright, there we go. That was ridiculous. I don't know what happened there, but alright, I think we're back to some semblance of speed at least. Okay. Cool. So what I'm trying to do is build out beyond the surface that we want, and then what I can do is set air, and then we just clean off everything that is within that selection that is not the right shape. So there we go. We very quickly create a flat surface there. Super useful. So let's do the same thing through here. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? No, that was a really terrible joke. I've never read that joke before, so I'm just reading from a list. As my personal joke repertoire has been exhausted already on this stream, so I have to look elsewhere. Not that I have a particularly large premeditated joke repertoire, I must admit. I'm not really one for telling... I'm not like a walking joke book, put it that way. Alright, so same again. So basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to select the area around the surface that I want to have, where rock is going to go, kind of where these rock brushes are going to kind of swell out. So I'm basically selecting the unwanted area, and then I'm building into it so that what we're left with is the flat surface of the unwanted area is exposed. And I know this is a giant heap of sand at the moment. We will be changing that. Hello, Shudari, Godzilla, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure you gave me another name to call you, but I can't remember. It's been a while. How are you today, friend? Alrighty. Clear that off. There we go. And yes, another one bites the dust. Alrighty. And now we repeat this ad infinitum, ad absurdum, ad insanitum, and ad superbum. I'm not sure. My Latin's is weak, but we're going to repeat this a lot, is what I'm trying to say. And there we go. So what we can do is the more elements we put into, if we want to make a curved surface, the more elements we put into the shape, the more curved we can make it. Obviously, well, not obviously, but there is a problem though with that. You can't put them just as many lines in as you want. I tried doing like a 100 vertex shape. That does not work. For whatever reason, the world edit just can't handle it. It's too much for it. So I try to keep the number of points kind of around 10 to 15, which is still quite a lot. As you can see, there's still quite a lot going on there, so that's good. Alrighty. So, and do the same thing again. We fill out underneath the surface. I quite like the result of these kind of patches that we're getting actually. On the surface. And I've actually, another thing we can do with a rock brush, I know I love this rock brush and I use it for everything, but another thing that we can use it for, I've realised, is we want to put patches of material onto an existing structure. Previously the way I was doing it, so say if I wanted to, say I had a cliff face and I wanted to add some iron ore, or I wanted to add some different type of stone, the way I would have done it would be to take a cylinder brush or a sphere brush and just to kind of paint on with a sphere brush. Using the rock brush I can paint on in a much more random way, which should look a lot better. Alrighty, boom, another flat surface. And this area here, I think I'll leave that actually. I know it's a big blob that doesn't look quite right, but I'm going to leave it because, you know, not everything has to follow the same shape. The thing that I'm concerned about is this real roughness that we've got that is not really what I want. I mean, we can add that roughness back in, but we need to have rid of it first, or we can add it back. Okay. So let's. One thing I can do here is I can actually sculpt this shape as well with my Pos 2, so that will actually sculpt that a little bit. In fact, this convex polyhedral selection tool is amazing, really. It's exactly what I've been looking for. I can't believe I haven't found it before. Very, very good. How about... I have a word for the day. Are you ready for this? This is a ridiculous word. The word is, taradiddle. Paradiddle. this word means, I've never heard this word before, but I understand, I'm led to believe that it means hogswash, or poppycock, or fib. Fib, I think, is a good word. It means like telling tales, or telling pretentious lies. Basically, lying in a way that is unbelievable. Said to be taradiddle. So there you go. Now you can use a word that is completely useless. Yeet. Good morning, Olivia. How are you this morning, friend? So I don't know how I'm going to do the bottom section here. So I think I'm going to leave that for now. I'm just going to do maybe one more section here. Let's see through here. I'm just gonna kind of join it onto this edge here a little bit. I know I'm losing the blue lines a bit, but it's okay. I don't need those blue lines. They were helpful to begin with, but now I'm starting to kind of understand more how this brush is working. I don't really need them so much. So I think there is definitely a quicker way of doing this than the way that I'm doing it. I haven't figured out the main problem with using it additively, this brush, is that I need to be able to select something inside the surface so that we can get a filling out effect instead of just like a flat surface. I don't want to build a shell of a mountain. I want to build a mountain with material inside, and that requires me to get a selection point on the inside of the mountain so that we can kind of fill out the whole area, but I don't know how to do that, so we're doing it this way instead. How are you guys doing this morning? Is everybody doing well? Or afternoon, I suppose, evening. So there we go. Boom, boom, boom. Alrighty. Oh, next region. So one thing I think that is possible to do here is... Actually, no, let's not do that. Let's not push our luck. I was thinking I could do larger areas at once, but I think the smaller the area, the better quality, the kind of the result. So... go. Nice. Excuse me. So, next area. You know what one of the weirdest things is that I've just been triggered to remember by looking at that shape. We have this, so you guys are probably very aware of the, this kind of, I'm not sure what you could call it, this aesthetic, I suppose? This style where, I mean, it's hipsters, basically. Hipsters like cactuses, and they like, well, I suppose these are like, I'm not sure what the technical term is, but it's a, well, it's a polyhedron, like a flat-sided, multi-sided shape, which is such a weird thing to kind of adopt as a you know, as a style. Like, what? It's a wireframe polyhedron. Like, that's so abstract and just strange. It's like, oh, is this a... Do we really like geometry or what? I never really... well, I don't really understand that. Very odd. Okay. So next area, same thing. And we continue, as I say, to infinity and beyond. Let's do this whole area at once if we can. Here. Down to here. Here. Down to here. Yeah. It's quite a big big area, we can do that, I think. There was little time. And there we are. Very, very quick. Level surface. So after this, steps-wise, I think some serious erosion is going to take place. I'm thinking I might use the random erode brush, just kind of indiscriminately over the whole surface. And that's going to take a long time. That could be like an entire stream's worth of doing. Although I think I'll do it piecewise after a while. So I think after this, actually, after this section, I'm going to kind of just work around one section at a time, and so it should be a lot more varied instead of what we're currently doing, which is very samey. A lot of the same stuff. Hello, Nicholas. There. Fill that in a little. Haha, I'm a rebel, I don't need to flatten that out. Okay, what I might try doing actually is whole sections now. So, for example, this one, let's try doing this whole triangle here and see what happens. Not even a triangle necessarily, but over here. Here. Over here. Over here. Nice. Through here. And we are approaching our kind of limit of the number of vertices we want, but I think we'll handle that. Yeah, it looks pretty good to me. Let's fill out the space. Thank you, Nicholas, because we're going to have a lot of this. This is going to be likely for at least, well, to be honest, I'm probably going to be doing the same for most of this stream. So I hope you find, I hope you derive some kind of satisfaction from seeing this be done. I know certainly I do, after having struggled with this kind of doing this kind of thing, like for a long time. To be able to do it so quickly is kind of satisfying for me, but I can understand if this is not the most exciting streaming. What else do I have? Oh, I have a thought for the day. Now this is, I've discovered this was from a some kind of a Christian website. I know thought for the day is kind of a traditional Christian kind of thing, but so it's not relevant today, but just in the past. So we have a thought for the day. You ready for this? This is quite a good one. It says, tell your heart that fear of suffering is worse than suffering itself. And no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dream. That is from Paul Coelho, who wrote a book, I assume, called Fear. It's good advice. You know, when the bad thing, quite often, the bad thing happening I've experienced in my life is never as bad as being afraid of it. I mean, obviously, there are some bad things that you don't want to happen, but you can't avoid everything. It's impossible, unfortunately. So I'd say that's good advice. It's quite a Buddhic philosophy, that actually. This is one of the teachings. There's one of the more common expressions of Buddhism, actually. Talks about if you have anxiety or if you have fear, you suffer twice, essentially. You suffer once in anticipation, and then the second time if it happens. If it happens. It may not even happen, in which case you suffer for no reason. So, yeah, it's a sound piece of advice. Of course, it's, you know, easier said than done. How does one defeat anxiety and fear? Like, that is an extremely difficult prospect. Personally, I'm not as I used to be very anxious when I was a child. I don't know what happened. I'm still somewhat anxious, but usually I'm fine. I have somewhat kind of social anxiety. It makes it quite hard sometimes for me to connect with. Sometimes I'm kind of afraid to connect with people. Which is, you know, a problem. It's a very common problem, though. I don't think it's rare, particularly amongst people on the internet. I would say it's probably more common. People who are frequently on the internet, probably more common amongst them than it is not. I.e., wait, probably more of the. What am I trying to say here? Wow, I missed a real big spot there, huh? You want to see my Minecraft skin? I will show you my Minecraft skin. There it is. Hello. This skin is from... Uh-oh, I should be careful with that. This skin is from way back when, so it's not a very advanced skin. But I did make it myself. I put the wolf skin on when wolves were introduced, and that was the last time I updated the skin, so... Yeah. I think one thing to do with fear and anxiety, that a lot of people, you know, it's very easy to forget when you're fearful or anxious. Everybody feels this way. Like, you know, without fear, there's no bravery. Anybody who's brave, well, there's two options. Either they're either brave or they're stupid. Because, you know, you can only be brave if you're afraid. So anybody who is brave must necessarily have been afraid, or they can't be brave. That's something interesting, actually. This is a complete tangent, but I don't know if anybody knows anything about Warhammer 40,000. In Warhammer 40,000, there's this weird thing where the Space Marines are often described as very brave, but they're also they have this. They're like, these are genetically engineered humans who are genetically engineered, or not genetically engineered, but whatever. They are engineered. They're messed with. They're very large and scary and strong and brave and tough. But wait, when I say brave, one of their properties is that they don't know what fear is. So, I mean, if you don't know what fear is, I suppose you're not brave, right? Like, there's no... If you're not afraid, what is there to be brave about? So, I mean, you can't be brave without being fearful. And I mean, fear is an important... you know, fear's purpose is to try and keep you in one piece, and oftentimes it's useful. You know, if you're walking down a dark alley, there's a lady who doesn't know fear, actually. She has some kind of a condition where she's not fearful. She's never fearful. She's very trusting. And so she's been robbed, assaulted, everything you can imagine, duped just over and over and over again, because she's not afraid. So she will walk down dark alleys where no one in their right mind would go. She'll walk down... you know, she'll walk around at night. She'll be duped by people who, because she's not afraid of anything, she doesn't realise that she has anything to worry about, I suppose. And as a result, yeah, she's falls prey to a lot of unscrupulous people. So you know, fear is a good thing, but of course in moderation. You can't let it control you. But I mean, now obviously all of this is what's the word? Just talking. I mean, it doesn't solve the problem. Like, I can remember. Oh, Imgal said I shouldn't be afraid of fear. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. And it's like, well, that's not going to help you next time you're afraid, is it? I believe actually. I don't know how true this is. I'm told. Samurai. Yeah, exactly. Only fools have no fear. It's good advice. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Although that's not quite the same meaning. But yes, you know, the wise people will be fearful of danger, but well, yeah, they will also be able to you know, moderate that fear and target it. I was going to say not target it, but overcome it, I suppose. I was going to say, I believe samurai used to deal with their fear. They would try to dissociate themselves from it. So they would say, if they, you know, go into battle or whatever, and they were afraid, they would say a man is fearful, and they would accept that a man was fearful. And that fear was being felt, but they disconnected themselves from the fear by kind of disconnecting themselves from their body, I suppose, a little bit. Which, I mean, that's not a particularly easy trick to learn. Dissociate oneself from one's own emotion, but I thought it's just an interesting idea. But again, there you go, samurai. If samurai feel fear, you know, some of the bravest people. Anyway, this is nobody was asking me about fear, but I guess I'm just having a chit chat. Alright, let's get rid of that. Nice. And this is a lot quicker actually, doing it this way, I think. Big stripes. I'm not sure if it makes it better or worse. Probably makes it worse actually. Oh, I'm clicking the wrong button. There again. Nice. I should probably have something to say, but I don't, so I'm not going to say anything for a moment while I think of something to say. Oh, my tea, no! Still warm. Getting cold though. But it's approaching the level at which it's no longer good. Yeah, it's chai tea, which is good. I'm very happy to have discovered chai tea. I was not a big drinker of various teas, but then I started drinking the various teas, and it turns out I love them. Yeah, chai tea, very good. About a couple of years ago that I started drinking chai. I think it's quite popular in India. Oh, that's an interesting. This is a great topic for anybody who cares about tea, or coffee as well. The tea and coffee are probably about the most ubiquitous substances on the planet. You go anywhere and you ask for a tea or a coffee, and you probably get one. Not always, but sometimes you might not be able to get a tea, sometimes you might not be able to get a coffee. But you'll always be able to get one or the other, I think. And it's interesting. Different types, I suppose, varieties of tea / coffee you will get if you just ask for tea, coffee. So if you ask for a tea in the UK, you will be given maybe a pot, but a cup of English breakfast tea with milk, essentially. Maybe you'll probably be asked if you want sugar, but I think the typical one is no sugar. So we're talking about black tea with milk in it. Highly unusual. If you go through Europe, you'll probably find much the same, I think. You might be able to tell me if I asked for tea in Russia, Yuri. What is the default kind of go-to tea if somebody asks for a cup of tea? I know in oops. So if you go to South Africa and you ask for tea, you will get a cup of rooibos, which that's red bush tea, or just red bush or rooibos is what it's called. That's what they'll serve you. I'm led to believe, and that is not tea at all. It's actually made from a completely different plant. No caffeine, very odd kind of tea, but it's quite good. I recommend not overbrewing it because it can, certainly for me, it kind of upsets my stomach a little bit if it's been brewed for too long. It's got quite an interesting flavour though. I don't know how to describe red bush. But yeah, so just if you go to if you were to go to China and ask for tea, I don't know exactly what you would get, but I would imagine it's a kind of black tea with no milk. I think they're quite big on things like pu'er is from China, and that's where tea actually originates from. Oh, okay, so they'll ask you. Interesting. So green tea is not even really expected to be an option in the UK. You can get green tea. If you ask for green tea, they'll give you green tea. But what if I was just like, just tea? Like if you had to make a guess, you know, somebody, I don't know, somebody, you just know that I want tea, which one would you make? I mean, you know who I am, but if you knew somebody wanted just tea, what's the go-to? So yeah, I think in China, I'm not sure, maybe green tea is the go-to. I know certainly in Japan, green tea is your go-to tea. I think the same is true for Korea, although they have various kinds of tea. In fact, maybe that's not true. One thing I was surprised at in Korea, probably the most popular kind of tea, the kind you could find in the shop, was brown rice tea, which is not a big, not unusual. Well, brown rice tea is unusual, is what I was going to say. I've never seen brown rice tea before or since. Sometimes you can get brown rice with green tea, but sometimes it is literally just a bag of like ground brown rice. And you know when you boil rice and you get that kind of if you haven't washed it properly, you get like kind of semi-washed brown rice and you boil it, you get that brown like kind of goop that comes off it. Starchy stuff, that is what they make the tea from. And it's okay, but tastes kind of like eating like rice. Yeah, so pu'er tea, black pu'er tea. Yeah, so that's again different. Yeah, I would say maybe brown rice is the most common. It's not tea, but yeah, it's if you Google it, you'll find it. I think if you search Korean rice tea, but they also have separately they have also iced tea. They love iced tea because it's so hot in Korea. They love iced tea and you know, stuff like peach iced tea or lemon iced tea, stuff like that is extremely common. And I think during the summer, you ask for a tea, that might be what you got, to be honest. It wouldn't surprise me if that was what you were served in Korea. If you asked for tea, summer would be something like a lemon iced tea or a peach iced tea. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, that is kind of the commonest kind of tea in Korea. I don't know for sure. Obviously, I'm not Korean. I didn't I didn't inquire too closely, but when I went to the shops, that's all I could find. Well, not all I could find, but that was the main. There was like a strange thing in Korea actually. They don't have a lot of variety in terms of the foodstuffs that are available. They seem to be very similar. Like I think a lot of Korean cuisine is made from a few basic ingredients, and so they have the same ingredients everywhere, and there are very large varieties of them. So in a Korean supermarket, you will find there will be an aisle for noodles, like packet noodles, freeze-dried noodles, and it will be an entire aisle, like both sides. So you'd be talking, you know, meters and meters, like maybe 10 meters of shelving space dedicated to just frozen, freeze-dried noodles. And similarly, there'll be 2, 3, 4 maybe meters of shelf space dedicated just to gochujang, that is like red chili paste, like chili paste. It comes in a huge tub, like boom, like big, and there'll be a whole section dedicated to that, and again a whole section, you know, maybe a whole kind of meter long, you know, I'm talking about, you know, 1.5 meter tall shelving space, and like a meter across maybe, just dedicated to salt, just like flaky salt, which is just crazy. You know, in the UK we might have one kind of salt, 2 kinds of salt maybe. No, it's probably exaggerated, but in a smaller shop you wouldn't expect like a whole salt section. So yeah, it's kind of, I suppose, quite different in many ways in that yeah, they're using just the same kind of limited repertoire of food to make all of their different stuff. They love tofu too. Tofu is just, I've never even seen like a kilo of tofu, or at some points they had like boom, like a 10-kilo block of tofu, and it's like cut your own tofu. Like wow, like crazy. I once went into a Korean store and I wanted to buy some meat, and meat's quite expensive, and it was behind a counter. Like there's like a deli counter, you know, like how you get in, I guess you would know, if you're living in Europe, we have like a deli counter. So I thought maybe there was like a preparation station back then, like a glass counter. So I thought, oh okay, maybe I need to ask them. So I kind of hung around, like looking, because I couldn't speak Korean, so I was just kind of looking at them, like it's quite a small shop, so I'm just kind of hanging next to the counter. I'm like, nope, nobody's coming over. After about a minute, or probably longer than that, 2 or 3 minutes of me just kind of hanging there waiting for someone to come over and serve me, I walked over and, you know, I was like, hi, meat, have the meat, can I get the meat? And the Korean, like, whoever, rolls her eyes and walks over to where the meat counter is, and pulls back the sliding door, and reveals that I could have just it was a sliding door and not like a glass counter, and I could have just taken the meat. So I looked like a complete imbecile at that point. Oh no, I've done it again. Bum. Let's focus here. Right. So, what was I up to on my tea crusade? Yes, I just got to Korea. So, Korea, Japan's always green tea, I imagine. I don't really know for sure, but I'm pretty sure they're huge on the green tea. I think tea in Japan is green tea, I would assume. If you go down to India, actually, you will find that tea does not mean green tea. I would think typical tea in India, I've been served tea by Indians, I believe that obviously I think it varies based on the area, but tea, typically chai, I think, what we call chai tea, that just means tea. Chai is tea in India, so that gives you kind of an impression, I suppose. Yes, so chai tea is milk based, like I think it's a milk tea, a lot of milk in there. Very unusual by standards of everybody else, except for kind of Southeast Asia, in Oceania. I'm not sure which one it is, Malaysia or Indonesia, maybe both. Milk tea is very common. Again, very, very heavily sweetened, based on milk. So it's not really a tea in a traditional sense. It's not water-based, but completely milk-based. Yeah, so actually, tea and chai, they have the same root word. So saying chai tea is saying tea tea. So cha, I think, is the original in Chinese. Cha is tea, and that becomes chai, and it also becomes corrupt to become tea as well. So chai, please. I'm exposing my incredible tea knowledge to all of you guys. Milk, milk, milk. So chai tea, if you don't know, is spiced. Spiced with, I think, the typical kind of masala spices, I suppose. It's stuff like, I mean, it varies from blends, but I think stuff like cardamom, cloves, cinnamon maybe, that kind of stuff. Kind of a warm spice blend. What else do I know about tea? Know anything else to tell you? I suppose I was gonna go for coffee now. I'm gonna list everything I know about coffee too. Coffee is another one where you go all over the world, you get a different thing. I think in the UK, if you ask for coffee, you're probably gonna get a filter coffee with milk. I guess is probably your most common bet, or instant coffee even with milk. I'd say filter coffee with milk. They're just like a, I mean, yeah, filter coffee with milk, I suppose. Obviously, if you go to Italy, if you ask for a coffee, you're going to get an espresso. If you go to the US and you ask for a coffee, they'll give you, I think they'll probably give you maybe a white Americano or a black Americano, maybe. Probably a black Americano, I don't really know, but I would assume that's your basic go-to. But if you go to the Middle East, you're likely to be, or Africa, you're likely to be served a very, very like non-coffee looking concoction, like a very small, concentrated, sort of like espresso, I think. I don't really know, but it's very strong, very sweet as well, very heavily sugared. One cool feature of this now is I can fill in the gaps and just do it again. I missed anywhere. And again, if you go to Korea, probably the strangest thing I've seen in McDonald's, you can get, not the strangest thing, Korea is full of strange things. They'll give you, if you ask for a coffee in McDonald's, first of all, you can get coffee in McDonald's that's somewhat exceptional. I mean, it's not that exceptional, but we weren't able to do that in the UK for a long time. But anyway, if you ask for a coffee in McDonald's, they will serve you a Ice Americano, iced Americano. Not very common in the West. In fact, I'd never heard of it, and it comes in like a cup, like a sip cup with not a sip cup, but like a plastic cup with straw in the top, and it's see-through, so it looks kind of like Coke, and it's got like ice cubes floating in it, and it, you know, makes a noise like, you know, like Coke, and it looks like Coke. and I see all these Koreans walking around with their McDonald's, what I thought was Cokes, and then I went into the shop, and I saw actually nobody's drinking Coke. Everybody is drinking iced Americano. And if you just asked for coffee, obviously they weren't going to interrogate me on... they weren't going to try and interrogate me on what kind of coffee I wanted, because I speak the language, but that's what you get. And it grew on me, actually. It's really good. Quite like iced Americano. Cool. Guess we take the next triangle here. We're making quite good progress. Made some big flat structures, but it's okay. We need to have them to work through. But I get to on coffee. I think that's it. I think that's everything I know about coffee. I imagine they have different kind of coffee in different areas beyond what I've just described. It's funny how drugs generally actually are so significant to human culture. Like, one thing that is the same everywhere you go. People like to get together and take drugs. That seems to be the #1 human pastime, no matter where you go. So many cultural traditions are based on the taking of some kind of drug. It's crazy, really. Well, it's not crazy, but it's funny. It is interesting. Like, a lot of the most significant cultural traditions, I would say, are based on some kind of drug, like you know, tea ceremony, for example, in Japan, very significant. Also, we have a sort of a tea ceremony in the UK. It's not as hard and fast a tea ceremony, but there is a tea ceremony. We don't really do it so much anymore, but we used to. You know, any old people can probably demonstrate to you a British tea ceremony. They will bring out the tea, bring up the teapot, and put the water into the teapot. Wait until it's brewed, of course, and you put the milk in first. Allegedly, well, just because that's how it's done, it used to be that put the tea straight in, sometimes the cup would crack because cups were cheap, but that's not true anymore. Funny. But yeah, anyway, tea is a drug, of course. It's got caffeine in it. It's a drug. Kind of interesting. You know, the same for coffee. Coffee ritual, or not ritual, but yeah, I suppose sort of rituals is very important all across the world. In Scandinavia, you have fika. I think other coffee. Do I know any other coffee rituals? Maybe I don't. I mean, obviously, that's notwithstanding any kind of mystic rituals involving heavier drugs, which do exist. In Christianity, we actually drink wine as part of the main communion. The main ritual in Christianity involves the consumption of wine. So that very interesting. Humans just like getting fucked up. I think that's all there is to it. Let's do just gonna get rid of all that surface so I can see what still needs doing, because it's kind of a big one. Tricky to see where I still actually need some work. Come on, get in there, you. In ancient Greece, there was symposium a very important social ritual. Oh yeah, sure, divination. It's such a funny thing, isn't it? Yeah, from the coffee. And you can do the same thing with tea leaves, right? Is that right? I don't know, I'm not an expert. What I was saying, I had something mildly interesting to say, but I lost it now. Oh well. Good enough. Right, this area here can stay, I think. Looks okay. So let's leave that. This area next. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. That's unfortunate. Gosh. Oh. I'm told that the ancient Babylonians... Was it Babylonians? I think... Oh, I was going to talk about the Greeks, actually, wasn't I? Well, let's finish this about the Babylonians. I believe the Babylonians used to have a rule that if they made a decision when they were drunk, they had to revisit it when they were sober. And they also had a separate rule. I said tea leaves. I don't know if that's, you misunderstood what I said. And if with the Babylonians, if they made a decision when they were drunk, they would revisit it and kind of make sure it was good when they were sober. But they also had a rule that if they made a decision when they were sober, they would come back and revisit it and make sure it was good when they were drunk, which I think is a great idea, to be honest. I think between those two you can get a pretty good idea about how good your decision is. If it makes sense in both cases, then I think you probably made a good decision. So we're going to try and get rid of these rocks, are a bit big. Oh yes, I was going to talk about the Symposium, which is a social ritual in ancient Greece, where they would have very strong wine. We don't really know how Greek wine was made. Ancient Greek wine, it was extremely strong. We suspect either that or the Greeks were tremendous lightweights, because apparently drinking the wine straight would just get you absolutely like hammered. So people would never drink straight wine, like it had to be mixed. And they would basically go around to their friend's house, who would be running this wine drinking ritual. Not ritual, well, sort of a ritual. And he would choose how diluted the wine was going to be. So if there was important business to discuss, it would be quite dilute wine. But then, as the night went on and people got a bit drunker, the wine might become quite a lot stronger. I think it's a very interesting kind of thing. Again, where everything's focused around this. There was basically this big central punch bowl that had the wine in, and like the whole thing was kind of focused around that. It's interesting. I believe the Spartans used to have mandatory symposium, where they would all the Spartans were part of a squad, like a military squad. That was like their main thing. It was like a squad of like 10 guys, and to try and build bonds, they had mandatory symposiums. So they would go to somebody who would be in charge of hosting it each week or whatever, and as part of their military service, well, I mean, they were a very strange culture, so they didn't really have... The notion of military service doesn't really apply. It wasn't really a very free culture at all. Everybody was in the army, or a slave. They would, yes, they would have... Gardener just went past the window. They would have the symposium every week as mandatory, so they would all just get really hammered together, and this would really help build the bonds of brotherhood, supposedly. And various things happen at the symposium, which sound kind of fun. Quite often it would get extremely rowdy and kind of spill out onto the street. And there would be, and everyone would be doing it, so the whole street would just get like absolutely, basically it would become a giant street party, absolutely out of control, and there would be prostitutes and musicians and prostitute musicians and such. It sounds kind of great if you were one of the Greeks and not one of the slaves. Good for some people. Something we forget when we talk about democracy. Democracy, when it was envisioned, meant even votes for everyone who is a landowning man. Everyone who is a male citizen, which was not most of the population. It's like 10% of the population or something. And also, those people were all considered equal. It's not really what we have anymore. So, this whole section here is kind of given away. I think the sand was a mistake, actually. We have a giant sand pit here. It's not fantastic. You know what? I'm going to fill this in. Use a fill tool for this filling. Oh, actually, no, it's not going to work. Let's not use a fill. Neck. Actually not too bad. I discovered that I need to sleep with 2 pillows. If I sleep with 1 pillow, then I tend to sleep on my side, and just 1 pillow, my neck kind of leans all night, so I end up with a stiff neck in the morning. But if I put 2 pillows, then my head is kind of upright as I'm lying, so it's sort of better. Things you know. More you know. Oh, goodness me. Click. I've done a great deal of this area actually today, so it's pretty good going. Is there anybody here wants to have a look around? Want me to look around the world? Because I'm gonna head off otherwise. Maybe do a little bit more, but yes, unless there's some demand for a world exploration, I will calling it a day in a few minutes' time now. We'll take good. Let's just get one in here as well. Now this one, be a bit time consuming. Let's do a bigger. Good for you. I have some pretty poor time sleeping sometimes. I don't know, it's not true actually. But I know for a lot of people, sleeping is kind of a problem. Like, it's funny, really, considering it's like the most basic thing you can do. Like, you do nothing. I guess a lot of people do have difficulty just unwinding and doing nothing, so maybe that's why. The window cleaner. Oh gosh. I really hope the window cleaner doesn't start cleaning the window directly in front of my face. It's going to be so awkward. Please no. I hope he's going to leave me until last. Not Gardner at all. Alrighty, so let's get rid of. I'm gonna swap over to the shaders mode and kind of explore a little bit what I've made, just for my sake. Oh, loads of people outside doing lots of stuff. Alrighty, so we're gonna swap us over to the shaders mode. Got a joke for you. A man approached a very beautiful woman in a large supermarket and asked, "You know, I've lost my wife here in the supermarket. Can you talk to me for a couple of minutes?" "Why?" she asks. "Because every time I talk to a beautiful woman, my wife appears out of nowhere." Excellent. I love it. Clean the windows upstairs. Doing everything, apparently. Like a cartoon where like a bunch of characters just come in and fix everything. Putting up roulette boards and stuff. Ooh, I need to contact my landlord because sign a new lease. Nice. So these are looking quite nice. This is roughly what they'll look like when they're complete. Obviously, closer up they're going to have a better finish. Hopefully a bit more rugged looking. Yeah, we're getting there, which is good. It keeps running past my window. We've still got a fair old bit to go. It's probably at least, I hate to say, it's probably a couple more streams worth of doing just this until we're done. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think I'm feeling positive about how this is going to come out. It's still going to be a lot more. It's going to be. There's no end in sight really. But for when this will be complete, I'm expecting like dozens more streams really to complete this mountain range. It's going to be a lot. Alright, anyway, I'm going to say thanks for watching. I'm going to head off. So, thanks for watching. I'm going to head off. Bye. Bye.